here?
Nope, she does need to go next. If
program at 10. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Should be working now.
Morning, Jody.
Maybe it won't be there when I get there, but
Something's so intelligent.
actually the contest. All right, well, just wrapping up in June in our kid care, we did have 150 kids. We did fill all 3 days of our babysitting clinic, and we went on to this. We did have our Clover Bud Camp. It's a bug camp. We had 29 5 to 7-year-olds there that day, so that was a fun day. We are having our special foods contest yesterday and today. That's why we're going to start at 10 o'clock today. We have 25 youth participating in that, and we do have some coming from Brookings County and Day County to participate also because their dates didn't work with their schedules. So coming up, we have our fashion review workshop and a contest this month. We have a paint workshop and our state horse show will be in Huron next week. I am teaching nutrition at the Camp Chance that's being held at the police department. And we have Farm Fun Zoo Day is going to be held on July 29th from 11 till 3. Achievement days are July 31st to August 3rd. And so that's why I have, if you want to take one and pass those down for you guys, our schedules in there.
And I will judge.
Okay.
I never nailed my thing down because...
And then I'll talk a little bit about our budget, if you need to pull that out or not.
Got it.
Extension budget.
Everybody find it? Page 58.
it's towards the back of the book. The back third, I should say.
58.
And I guess the only increase we have really is the wages. We did have a decrease in one of the line items, but everything else is the same as last year. So I don't know if you have any questions or...
Okay, any questions? Any questions?
That was just an estimate on the wages, not knowing with insurance and stuff. So
Okay, Jody.
no questions?
Thank you. Stay cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you and your budget.
Yeah, quick, easy. Health Department is here in full force with some new faces. A new face. A new face. Yeah.
I know, yeah.
This is usually Ann's job. I'm just here to...
Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. I'm here to give you the quarterly report.
All right.
Um,
We'll start with that.
Okay.
It's on.
Well, why don't you introduce our new
Okay,
employee?
this is Susie Hougley. She's our new dietitian.
Yep.
You can tell people about yourself.
Sure. I'm originally from Norfolk, Nebraska. I moved up here to Watertown probably 2 years ago. And I have a background in teaching for a couple of years, and then I went back to school for dietetics. And so nutrition education is kind of my forte, what I enjoy doing. And so I started the WIC program, Department of Health, back in March.
Great, welcome.
Good. Good to have you aboard.
What counties do you cover?
Oh, yeah, I cover 7 different counties. I have Cottington, Clark, Dual, let's see, Kingsbury, not Brookings, Roberts, Grant,
Dave?
and Hamlin.
Hamlet.
Yeah.
Good.
And that changes from time to time,
It sure does.
depending on the needs of those offices. So.
Well, it's nice to cover that much territory because you can just always tell people you're on the road, right? A lot.
You spend a lot of time on the road.
I enjoy it.
I've got, Ann wrote the quarterly report if you want to just take one. Nothing really different on that. It's just kind of the same. Also, I know we're getting ready for a flu shot clinic at the end of October. We've ordered, I think we're ordering our flu vaccine now. They've ordered that for the pot already, so. We will be doing National Night Out. We're not sure what we're doing yet, but we're going to have a table there, so.
Any questions? How about budget?
We already reviewed their budget. When we did the nonprofits, I think we went
Oh,
through
yeah.
the nurses also because,
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
basically had like wage increases.
yeah,
That's all we did.
I think we did, but yeah, that's basically all their budget is salary and a little bit for supplies, so.
Any questions? Any questions? Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
See
very
how
much.
painless this was?
Welcome, Susie.
Al Jansen, Veteran Service. Good morning, Al.
Good morning. How's everybody this morning?
We're good. How are you?
Feeling better?
Getting there.
Good.
Getting there. Okay, my budget.
Hold that mic up to your mouth, if you would, please.
My budget for 2018.
Well, what page was that on? Anybody find it yet?
Yeah, it's in the front part of your book.
It's
It's,
22.
Yep.
Page 22.
22?
Yes.
Not a whole lot change overall. We're down about $1,200 from what we budgeted for this year, so we're not looking to spend as much money next year, trying to keep expenses down as much as possible. Not much has changed overall.
The only change that I see is in salary. Is that
That's
right?
basically most of it, but when you look on top, the insurance,
Yeah.
down, so,
Just a slight change in supplies. but-
yeah, just a slight change in supplies, but then travel and
Went
conferences down. Yeah, so overall it averages out, or balances out. But overall savings of over $1,200 for the year.
Great, thank you.
All right. Any questions for Al?
I got one, Mr. Chairman. I see for the fiscal year 2017, we have 19,191 online for 415.00, and this year it's down about $5,000.
That's the employer.
When we prepared, I think when we prepared the 2017 budget, I don't know if we knew what our health insurance was going to be.
We wouldn't have at that point because we did it in October, November.
Right, so that was prepared thinking our health insurance was going to take a jump, and then we changed health insurances on January 1, and so the amount that Al's budgeted for 2018 is a better reflection of what we're paying.
Okay,
It's called
thank you.
grabbing a number out of the sky.
Actually, if you look,
Thank you.
when you look at my budget, I budgeted $34,000 for 2017, and I budgeted $29,000 for 2018, and that's why. Because, yeah, it's timeline.
And in my monthly report, 84 walk-ins and appointments, 5 house calls. So that's about it.
How many house calls did you say? 5. Any other questions for Al?
Is that seems like a lot of walk-ins. Is that a typical number? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
It is, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that's 84 appointments and walk-ins.
Right, just people in
The
your...
walk-ins probably of that is probably 10, 12.
Most are appointments, okay.
How many transports do you have or trips
Oh,
involved?
geez, I forgot to check that. I think last month we only had about 3 or 4. So,
All right. All right, any other questions? Thank you, Al.
thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Ladies?
Steve is not
Steve
here.
will not be able to be here. He has a recycling event today,
Yep.
I believe.
Potter, you're on deck.
Okay, we are helping today with the city's runoff election in Ward D, so the ballots, I had staff on hand at 7 o'clock this morning to answer any questions that anybody might have on their voter registration. We're required to staff the office from the opening of the polls to the closing of the polls for those questions. And then we will be here tonight at 7 to help them count the ballots. I expect to be out of here by 7:30 probably. It's going to be a fast count. Because of this runoff election, this has slowed down our process that we do every other year to purge inactive voters. Because we have this election right now, we've had to delay our purging. This is where we go in and look at everybody who has not who has been on the inactive list of voters and has not voted within the last 2 general election cycles, they will actually be removed from the county's voter files. So if they ever wanted to vote again, they would have to come in and re-register. I think we have over 800 people on that list that will be removed. And then the second part of that process is we look at everybody who has not voted once in the last 4 years, and we move them to an inactive list, which means that if you're on the inactive list and you go to the polls to vote, you will be allowed to vote. You have to fill out a form right there and to make yourself active again. So it's a two-step process. We will be removing quite a few voters from the file.
And that's if they have not voted in 2 years?
4.
Or 4 years.
Yep.
Okay.
So the first process is people who have been on the inactive list for some time and they still have not voted in the last 2 general elections. They actually get taken out altogether. And then the next step is the people who have not voted, who are still active but have not voted once in 4 years. They'll get removed and not removed. They'll get moved to an inactive file.
That's what I was thinking. It goes up to 4. And
Yeah,
I
but
misunderstood
because of
then
this
after
runoff,
the 2 years.
right? Because of this runoff election, we have had to delay our starting of that process. And the other thing we were working on is the revenue budget, which has now been put in the back of your budget binders. It'll show you our estimated revenues for 2018. And those, they're estimated. They're based on looking back the last couple of years to see how the revenue has come in, to see what kind of pattern there might be. The only one that's fairly certain is the 311 taxes, because we know what we're allowed to collect in 2017. We know what our CPI is, and we have an estimate on our growth. We won't have our final growth number until we get some more reports from the Department of Revenue in August. But we know pretty close to what we're going to be able to request over 2017. So that very first page where it says 311 taxes, what we're levying in 2017 is $7,789,616. $7,789,616. What we can expect in 2018 is $7,983,514, and that's based on CPI and growth. And that's the only revenue number that is, pretty close, pretty exact. The rest are all based on estimates. Some of our revenues are up and some are down, which you can kind of see if you flip through that report. The first section there is the general fund. If you look up in the upper left-hand corner, it'll give you the fund number. 101 is general fund. It also gives you it right under the title there on the third line of the title. It'll say general fund. And then it will go to highway fund. It might have the capital improvement fund in there, but we don't have any money coming into that fund anymore, but the computer automatically shoots out a page for that. I don't know if we pulled that or not. It would be right after the general fund.
Yeah, there is a capital.
Okay, yeah, currently we do not receive any money for that fund. That's when we were receiving money from a portion of the city's extra penny sales tax. And then a number of years ago, we lost that funding.
Then it's road and bridge.
And then it's road and bridge. Yep. You can see where their revenues come. And then all the other revenues are the smaller funds: emergency management, search and rescue, victims of crime.
911.
Yep, 911, surcharge. So anyway, that's a new addition to the back of your budget books. And that's what we've been working on. And then if you want to look at my budget, it's one of the first ones in the book. I budgeted for a 3% wage increase, a 10% health insurance increase, just based on the fact that we don't know what health insurance is going to do. The rest of my budget is pretty, falls in line with what I've budgeted previously. I did give you an explanation sheet. In 422, I budget for software support. In 425, I budget for computer and copier maintenance and email, our server maintenance. In 426 is upgrading computers, printers, workstation, and annual supplies. 427, I dropped that a little bit based on what I had spent the previous year. That's for workshops and conventions. 428 is my phone, long distance, and internet. I dropped that a couple $100 based on what it's previously been costing. And then 429 is primarily postage. And I did increase that $500 because in 2016 I did spend $4,800 on postage.
Mr. Chair, if I can.
Yes.
Cindy, 425, repairs and maintenance, that's up.
Those are.
What is that?
I have I have a monthly maintenance agreement on my copier based on the number of copies made, and then I also have monthly maintenance on all of our computers and printers, so that if we ever have any problems, we don't have to pay for those service calls.
Any other questions? Anything?
Mr. Chairman, I just noticed on the back of that new section, it doesn't have the future building projects funds. Is that because you don't budget for that?
That's not a budget.
But it's a fund, but not, okay. So
And it's not a fund, it's within the general fund. It's not a revenue budget, let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah, it's still there, we still have that.
Yeah.
But it just does not appear in anything like that. It appears in our balance sheet instead.
Cindy's been doing this long enough, so she knows she drops a few just to make us feel good.
So overall, my budget increase is 1.8%.
That's pretty good.
1%.
Good job, Cindy.
Yes,
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else? All right. Director Equalization. Morning. How are you this morning?
Morning, Shauna.
Let's see, Shauna,
DOE.
Can I do my budget first?
Whatever you want to do.
whatever works for you. I gotta find it first.
It's close behind mine.
Yeah, right there.
Overall, my budget went down a little over 9.
Sean, I want to just hold that mic up to your mouth so they can hear you on the screen, please.
Okay, so overall, my budget went down about a little over 9,000. And that's mostly, like the health insurance stuff, because it doesn't go, hopefully this year too, it won't go up as much as we're thinking, but I proposed a 3% wage increase and then the 10% health insurance. And then basically I just moved around the funds in the lower part to where I used it and where I didn't.
Page number 20. Yeah, that is okay. Keep going, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So some things went up a little bit, some things went down a little bit, just really depended on where we used it, where we didn't. In ours, the repairs and maintenance went up a little bit, kind of like Cindy's, but basically you have your ProVal stuff and your Ultra software, and all those basically do 2 to 3% increases every year, and that's why that one went up. But we took down the travel and conference and a couple other things. And my 429 goes up every year because postage seems to go up every year.
Looks like your overall budget is down.
It's down
10,000.
a little over 9,000.
Yep.
So I don't even think it's quite a percent, but I like the negative numbers.
Yes, so do we.
Any questions for Shauna?
So on the just this might be a general question for the whole thing. I think you might have answered this before. This may be more of a question for Cindy. Is on the actual for 2017. Is that up through what month?
Actual is, I ran this report, you can see up in the right-hand corner, I ran this report on June 12th.
Okay.
So I think bills bills were not even in there, probably May. These
Okay, so it's
numbers were probably through the end of May. Yep,
You're talking about expended.
expended,
Actual
yep.
date. Yeah, the actual.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this
would be
okay.
just interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Good.
Anything else? All right, Shauna.
Thanks, Shauna.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Register of Deeds, Ann. She's been patiently waiting there. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Budget first?
Yeah, I'm there.
Let's see.
And she's just a little bit behind Shauna on the budget tabs.
Page 20.
Page 20, yeah.
Everybody there? Okay. Basically ours too, the 3% wage increase with the insurance at 10%, unlike everybody else. I don't mean to repeat everything. As far as our line items on the bottom, everything pretty much stayed the same, except I decreased about 5,000 out of 426 for supplies.
Mr. Chairman, just on the for all the digitization, the scanning and all that stuff, is that reflected, or is that a separate?
That basically that would, when I do get to that point, will come out of that M&P fund.
Okay. Yeah, and that's is
And
that?
that, did you say you had gone over that before?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. We went over that when we did the nonprofits that day. It's at the end of your, it's towards, it's page 94, but yeah, we have not spent a lot out of there, so Ann's got $86,000 budgeted in there.
Separate program.
Yeah.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So Ann's normal budget is less than 2% increase over last year also.
All right.
Okay.
Any
Looks like
questions?
whoops.
Any questions for Ann?
Got a couple other things, and I haven't filled out a travel request yet, but next month in Chamberlain we've got a South Dakota Computer Equipment Services meeting that we have every year, and it's basically Tyler that we go through for our software programs. They have an annual meeting that we attend, so I guess I'm asking for permission on that travel.
We should have the form.
Have that form.
Yeah,
first.
if you can bring it, yeah. Let's do it
We've got
next week.
time. That's next month, right?
Yeah,
So
let's do it next week.
Sure.
Do you need to?
What's that calendar?
18th
Oh,
is, yeah. The 18th is
Okay.
next Tuesday.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, yeah, just fill out.
Right?
Yeah, because this is on the 18th, so
Oh, of July?
August.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're way
Okay,
ahead.
yeah. So if you give me a travel request for next week,
Yeah.
You have to register.
next week's meeting.
Is there a registration deadline date?
That I have already registered.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we're going through here. My other request, which I have budgeted for computers, we've got 5 computers. One of them 6 years old, the other ones are 5 years old to replace. And I've got copies of the
Now, you want to do it this year?
Yes.
This year's budget, yeah?
this year's budget.
That should come to the meeting too.
It should be on the agenda.
Oh, I thought
No,
But
I told you that.
no, sorry.
it will
Sorry.
be now.
Well, I
It will
really
be.
oughta-
It will be now.
It will be next
It will
week.
be now.
So I'll give you
They
those.
can look that over too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if you need me to come back next week on both of them?
No, you
I
probably don't
don't
need to
think
come
you
back.
really need to.
You don't need to be back here as long as they've got something. If they have questions, they can get a hold of you during the week.
Yeah.
So with those computers that you're going to be replacing, are you keeping a couple of those in your
I'm going to
office?
keep one of them to do 2 public workstations
Right.
instead of just the one.
We talked about that, so I wondered
Yeah.
if that's, okay.
Yeah.
That would be
Because
good.
it is, I mean, when we get, several people in the office, it does kind of get backed up with people needing to work on those computers.
And now that you move things around, you've got the room, so
Yeah, yeah.
that would be good. That would be an asset to the
Yeah.
public.
Yeah, that's worked out well.
This proposal is to purchase these locally?
Yes.
Okay.
Connecting
Yeah.
point.
And these are all 6 items.
Yeah, there's, as far as the software, and there's also a backup for Doc Pro stuff.
And you have them in this year's budget, so it'll be a matter of just getting it on the agenda so we can approve it next week. So, all right?
Okay.
Anything else for Ann this morning? Thank you.
Well, thanks, Ann.
Thanks, Ann.
Carol, treasurer. This is where the money stops. Not the
Morning,
buck
Carol.
stops, but we'll just hit the money stops, right?
Yeah,
All right.
All right, let's see.
I missed one of those.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
All right.
What I'm working on is I'm working on doing some tax deed properties, and I'm giving notices to Myron as chairman of the board to just that so that you're aware of which ones I'm working on right now. I've got about 6 of them right now that are working. I've got one property over in Henry. I've got one up in South Shore.
6 parcels?
6 parcels right
Okay.
now. Yep. I've got some others that I'm going to work on, but I've got issues finding family members that need to be served. So Adam's going to help me out with that. And I've got one over in Florence that it's sort of cloudy, so.
Currently, we don't have anything for sale, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. We've gotten taken, the last thing
Well,
we
except for that
had.
one that was voluntarily surrendered.
True.
But that's,
Okay.
I sort of hold that outside of a.
Yeah,
outside of
it's not,
this.
yeah, okay.
Right. But anyway, that's sort of what's going on with us right now. And
When we get done, we'll have property all over the county.
possibly, or maybe at the 11th hour it'll all get redeemed.
That's
All right.
that would be fine too.
Yeah.
That would be our request if
Yeah.
that would happen.
Okay, and now is the time for us to talk about my budget, I'm guessing?
All right. What page is that on? Anybody?
She is close, yep, close to the front.
Okay, in general, on the wages are sort of driven by a couple different things. First thing I was assuming is there's going to be a 3% cost of living allowance. So that drives 411, 412, and 412.20, 413. And then with the insurance section of it, I was assuming a 10% increase. I'm not, I don't know that they've been given any figures yet, so that's just a guess. So I'm assuming, my assumption for my change there is a 10% increase on that. Dental insurance, they have gotten back to us. Those numbers are staying the same, so mine's my actual for 2017. And then those others are...
415.30, I should let you know, that's the life insurance. That's the life insurance policy you provide for each employee. It's like $4.63 per month per employee.
Right.
It's a $25,000 policy.
Yeah. So that's sort of fixed. And then, so that's the personal services section of my budget and the reasons behind the changes there. And then down the next section, professional services, I'm staying the same on that amount as I have previously. Repairs and maintenance, again, the estimate I'm trying to stay the same for this year. Supplies and materials. You will see that there's an increase on the treasurer's motor vehicle supplies line. What I'm anticipating is the purchase of new computers next year. They're working on a software rewrite for the software that we use for our licensing and titling system. I don't know that any of you guys were here, but in 2008, they rewrote the software. I think it's going to be different this time in that in 2008 it was a legal mandate that it change. So even though they weren't necessarily ready, there was a July 1.
Was that SD cards?
Yes.
It was, okay.
That was when we changed to plate with owner. There was a computer rewrite. It wasn't necessarily ready, and things didn't go very well. That was when we closed the office one day a week so that we could do all the other paperwork that wasn't getting done. Anyway, they're proposing a new rewrite that'll go into effect either late 2018, 2019. So the increase there in that portion of my budget is so that I'm ready, so we don't have, well, my machines haven't been replaced since 2009. So the idea is I'm not going to have a hardware issue. I'm going to be up and running, my network connections, everything's going to be fine, so that then when they change their software, if we have any issues, it's the software problem, because everything else.
That line item in Carol's budget is directly offset with fees that we receive that are supposed to be spent on this type of item too.
okay.
Right.
So there is a revenue source for that,
Okay.
for that line.
Oh, I forgot that part, sorry. I'm not arbitrarily doing it, there's money there.
And I imagine 427 ties right in with that. Well,
no.
you're going to be trained on that software too, right?
Right, but 427, the reason I'm increasing that is, as we're having more opportunities to do training for deputy workshops and summer workshops, I want to try and get, I can't send all my staff because we're not going to close an office. But I'm trying to send different people to peer for those training sessions when it's possible. So, like we had new officials workshop, and when that happens, we'll have people from the Division of Motor Vehicles will come in and talk to them, and people from the Department of Revenue and Legislative Audit. So I just sort of think that's a good chance to get some exposure to those things. So that's the reason that's going up is I'm planning ahead for meetings I'm sending folks to.
You have how many in your office?
There are 5 of us, 6 of us.
Yep.
So I only there's meetings that I go to, and then there are the meetings that the new officials workshop and the deputy workshops. Those they have like in March, April.
Yeah,
I think they
spring.
try to coincide those with your guys'
Yes.
meeting.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to do is send 2 people so that I don't have one there all by themselves
Yeah.
going.
And we're looking at
Right.
less than $1,000
Yes,
increase.
no, I'm not questioning. I just wanted to
Yep.
note that there's 6 in your office.
Right.
So I'm not questioning that they shouldn't go because they are very beneficial.
Right. But that sort of explains that I got more of a crew to go.
Yep.
And then the last item on there, that the increase under the current expenditures, the biggest reason for that increase is I'm looking at replacing my copier scanner next year. Things are going really good right now, but when I was preparing my budget, the service guy was there about every 3 days. So I'm just planning ahead to have that replaced. And that one's been there. I think I've had that since before my computer, so maybe 2007, I'm thinking. I think I had that one before I got the computer, so.
I know that it's down the road a little ways, Carol, but I know there's some, and you treasured are fighting it as far as the license plate distribution. Would that would not happen next year, would it? If it does happen, you're trying to get it stopped, I know.
We're trying to get it stopped because we don't quite see the benefit.
The other commissioners, are you aware of what we're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So what we've done is Division of Motor Vehicles met with us back in June to discuss the idea of going to plate on demand for all the plates. So rather than issue car, truck, trailer, motorcycle, boat plates out of our offices, customers could still come in here, but all those licenses would actually be processed in Sioux Falls, and then we would issue temporary permits for people to operate on. We have some concerns about that. People operating on just the temporary permits, that it's not really the best idea. The other thing is we're concerned that people want what they pay for when they come in, and sending them away with, they just dropped $200 for licensing fees and they got nothing for it. We're concerned about that, and we don't see where the efficiency is going to come from. They say it's going to save them on inventory costs. We still have to make the same number of plates, but instead of actually having them at a distribution point where the customer gets them when they pay for them, they want to centralize the production and mailing. So then you've got every customer has to wait for their plates to come to them in the mail. And I don't know,
Which could also potentially be a security issue.
Right.
Somebody stealing license plates as they're shipped.
right, so the little gold envelope that shows up in your mailbox that's about the same size as a license plate, I wonder what that is. So, then they get pulled out of the mailbox and off they go. But one of the things that we just don't think that it's necessarily a situation where they should be centralizing the production. I mean, if they have concerns about shipping plates for customers that are buying them on the or through the state's website, the SD Cars website, or if they're buying them at the SST terminal, it makes more sense to us for that shipping to be done from the county that they live in, where plates are on hand, and rather than have them have to maintain inventory for 60 different counties in Sioux Falls. The governor is looking for efficiencies, and this is one of the programs that they proposed, and the Division of Motor Vehicles is gathering some information. We do sort of think that there is going to be a bill proposed. I just don't know how well received it's going to be when they start looking at it from the taxpayer's perspective. You know, it's taking a step back customer service-wise, we feel. But anyway, that's the biggest thing we've got going in the background right now.
My reason for the question is anything that it seems like the state government introduces, it costs the county money. I mean,
right.
That's kind of a...
Yes. And
I mean, just a figure on that. I'm wondering,
right.
Where's the new software that we're going to have to buy to have this happen, or what hardware are we going to need, because it's going to happen.
Right.
That's the way it is.
And the cost of this programming is paid by license plate money. So it is when you're buying your license plate, you are paying for the Division of Motor Vehicles infrastructure, their programming, their employees, the whole bit. So
It's self-funded.
Yes. So any questions?
Anything, Carol? Any questions? All right. Pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Yep, thanks much.
Appreciate it. All right. Rick,
Good morning.
Good morning, Rick.
Morning, Rick.
striping project.
Yeah, the item I have today, it's just an opportunity for the county to utilize some federal highway safety funds. It's to provide edge line rumble striping similar to what we have on County Road 11. And it will be a 2-mile segment basically from the casino on County Road 6 east over to Old 81 or County Road 11. It's 100% funded. I guess, like I mentioned, it's an opportunity to utilize federal safety funds, and I think it's a good project.
I make a motion that we approve.
We have a motion by Hatton.
Second.
So moved.
Second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? My discussion would be, it goes by my place and it works. But, just the other day I was out mowing my ditch and I heard rumbles, and it made me look up because I knew there was somebody not on the road. Is he coming my way? But they do work. So, any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 5, also discussion,
Can I use
possible
this
action
copy that you sent me to?
regarding...
Okay.
Just use that copy.
All right.
I don't know
I will
if he's
do that.
here.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's go on to number 5, discussion, possible action regarding property record number 12497 and property line discrepancy.
He's not
Cindy?
here. He's not here.
This is not my...
Oh, that's
This is not
right.
mine.
Yeah,
You guys
Luke.
have...
I don't know, there was
You
a
guys
gentleman.
have as much information as I do.
Yeah, we have
There was
some.
somebody kind of walking.
With the
This
shed
is
on
the
it.
garage
Yeah.
over by the Cook Complex
Yes.
softball fields.
I think the property owner just would like to know what can be done.
I've spoken with this gentleman. I actually went over and looked at the issue that he has there, and the issue is that half of the shed, he purchased this property recently and is actually redoing the property. And when he had the lot surveyed, it was discovered that the shed, as it sits right now, half of the shed is on county property and half is on the property that he just purchased. So he is wondering what can be done to either remove that shed, or if the county wants to deed him some of that land, or what exactly can be done there. So that's the issue.
Come to find out, it was not resurveyed, they just had somebody come in to locate the pins, because
That's
there
what it
is
was,
no
yeah.
documentation on a survey. So I've been working on this as well. We are in a lease with the city for some of that property back in there. Shauna, I don't know if you want to come up and give some background on...
It's actually a good long stretch of property that he's talking about.
And the last email that I had from Shauna says, without an actual survey being done, we don't know the exact measurements.
Yes.
So what would be your recommendation? To survey?
That would...
I measured it just off the GIS and about from the middle, it's about 18 to 20 feet. But it'd be the whole length of his property. But then when you look just north of that, it's going to be that property too. Not that they're saying anything, but those property owners also take care of it. So, like Brenda said, we're already in a lease with the city. But then if we wanted to deed him the property or lease him the property, it'd be really up to you guys how much you want to give him, just the shed or up to the fence. I mean, that's something that is going to have to be discussed with him and what you guys want to do. As of right now, we assess it on his property as we do anybody else that we have the issues with.
Just the shed, not the land, right?
Just the shed, not the land, because we assess the land, his lot size is based off his legal description.
My understanding is though he wants to remodel or rebuild the shed or move the shed or something. And
He is building a new garage
okay.
onto his property, so he has no problem with the shed being removed. It's my understanding he does not want to incur that expense.
He currently keeps the grounds up to the chain link fence. He mows and puts weed killer down currently, or he has been doing that.
And the previous property owners
did also.
Too, yep.
Okay, he needs to put new shingles on the roof. Probably has it covered with a tarp right now. Have you seen it?
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Yeah, the garage is in need of repairs, and he would like to move forward with the cleanup on the project or on the property, but he doesn't see repairing something that he doesn't know is legally his.
Right. It's kind of that point, I think he either wants it removed or do something, if he does the repairs to it, that he's reassured that.
And his original email said he would like to know if the land that the garage sits on could be deeded to them, or if the county could remove the half of the garage that sits on the property.
And we could do...
The garage, he's got like 3 of them on there.
And I'm just reading from the email.
Right. We could, we have something that's called building on leased land, that you could do some sort of a lease agreement with him on this, if that would be something that we would be able to also coordinate with the city for just that.
Yep, basically, he would be assessed the same way he is now, but it's still weird because I don't know how we would really do it in our office, because half of it is actually sitting up, is his.
Right.
And we would probably, we'd still keep the garage on his card, I guess. I don't know how we'd really, when it's half and half like that, do. But we do building on lease sites, and that's when someone owns the land and someone else puts, we have grain bins and garages and sheds and stuff like that. A lot of mobile homes are more building on lease sites.
Right.
And then they're just assessed for the buildings and no land.
That's right.
So you would take the garage off of his property assessment and create
and then
create a new parcel for just the garage itself.
For just the garage, yeah.
Then the land itself.
Would be nothing. But we, like Brenda said, we already have a lease with the city. I don't know how that would work. That might be something legal. I don't know. But for our purposes, we just need a copy of the lease to put something in building on leased land.
And that's, I guess we can go to the city and ask them, show them, explain the situation, and, see if they'd be willing or mind. But then you'd have to determine how many years, what kind of a timeline are we going to put on this?
I'm just assuming that when they put the fences up for the ball fields, they figured that's where the lot line is. And
Shauna, do we know how far it is from the fence to the center of that garage?
Somewhere between 18 to 20 feet.
Okay.
But the garage kind of sits at an angle a little bit, it.
It does.
So, yeah, not much, but it does.
It's not a straight line. No.
But yes, to know exactly where it sits, but I mean, I don't know, because if he's going to have issues with the garage, is he then going to make you guys mow the rest of the land? I mean, to me, it would be just leasing the whole part to the fence, but I don't know. And like I said, the city already has a lease on that, so.
That's something we'd have to coordinate with the city.
It's a lease that doesn't involve a major amount of money.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
but we would just have to get them to sign up because I think the lease does
It's on
say
the outside of the
that.
fence, but I'm sure the city would have no issue with it at all. But if you're just going to do the garage, then is he going to stop mowing that area, and then are we going to be responsible to mow that area?
And then we can make that part of the agreement.
So, yeah.
Part of the agreement could be we will lease this to you.
Yep.
If you keep the grounds up
If you
around it.
continue taking care of it the way you
But
have.
if it was me, I'd want to guarantee that, you guys aren't going to come in a year and say, half that's on our lot, I want that gone.
Right.
So I could kind of.
Something we need to also discuss with Patrick, I believe, and
Yeah.
going forward, what
All
he
right,
would
so
suggest.
to move on with this, should we, let's have a suggestion, let's get something on a paper in front of us to look at. Shauna, you going to do that?
What would you like me to do?
Well, I think, Mr. Chair, is it worth reaching out to this individual and having him come to the next meeting? Maybe we
I
can get it
assumed
on
he
the
was going
agenda.
to be here, but
And have him just speak on the issue. and
Sure,
see
and that's
what
fine
direction he
too.
wants
If we
to go
want to
with
just
it.
hold off and have him
yes.
come in and share with us what his thoughts
See,
are.
what we have is the GIS overlay, but it doesn't show the right lot lines. It's got to move over a little bit into where exactly we're not 100% sure. So to know exactly, then a survey would need to be done. And I want to say those are between $300 and $500. I'm not sure anymore how much a
And
survey
who's
actually.
going to pay for the survey? That would be the next thing. Is it going to be on us, or, would he be willing to split, or?
Or if he's willing to, if
And
he's willing to
you
purchase
may
it.
be able to talk to Marty, and since he set the pins, he may be able to figure something out, with just the garage. But
Right.
I mean, he just basically went out there and just located with, their metal detectors and stuff, so he didn't actually put anything on paper.
Right.
Sure. All right, so
Sounds like a
the
new
plan
survey.
is, we'll invite this gentleman to our board meeting next week.
Yeah, I
And-
guess I assumed he was coming today.
Yeah.
If he's available, or ASAP, I should say, if he's not available next week, the following week or whatever, and we'll discuss the issue with him and find out where he sits. Who's the jealous, right?
Yep.
What's the name?
Bob? Robert?
Julius.
Or Julius.
Julius.
It's Julius.
Oh, Julius, okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Sean.
If you don't mind, maybe in the meantime, I'll have a conversation with Patrick on this, too.
Fine, sure. Good idea. All right, number 6, auditors, action to approve the auditor's account with the treasurer and note the monthly registered deeds fees, and that's in your packet.
Register of deeds fees for the month of June were $32,379, with a portion of that sent to the state of South Dakota for certified children's, or the State Children's Fund for certified births. The electronic access fund for the state also gets a portion of all of these. I don't have that exact amount here. It's coming with our claims that we're paying next week. It was around $1,700 that will go to the state of South Dakota out of that amount. And then the auditor's account with the treasurer shows you all the cash and cash items on hand as of the last day of June 2017. It also shows you which fund, the fund balances, general fund, special revenue fund, and the trust and agency funds where we send money to the schools, the townships, cities and towns.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
We have a
auditor's
motion by
account with
Hatton.
the treasurer.
Second by Van Dusen. Any questions? No questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Milo has an action to approve an operating procedure in the event of another power outage. And that's in your packet. Has everybody had a chance to read this? I guess this would be, Cindy, affect you people that work in the courthouses?
And, well, any any office that doesn't have a generator to keep running. I don't know. He does say that this is the courthouse. So this was specifically drawn up for the courthouse. I don't know about any of the other buildings, extension or the highway department. But for the courthouse, this is the procedure.
Mr. Chairman, this all stems back to the last time we had a temporary power outage with a elderly person in the one office up here or something.
Well, it goes back to, it was an extended power outage, and, you know, it was several hours. Normally this doesn't happen, but some offices closed their doors, some did not. Offices that are dealing with a lot of cash and customers who they can only assist if we have power through the computer terminals, they did, for security, they closed their doors. My office, we didn't close our doors because we were able to answer questions that didn't need computers. But at the same time, like the phones in my office don't work. And we're not sure if our panic system works during a power outage. So we thought maybe we should have a policy in place so we're all doing the same thing. You know, deal with the customer that you've got. When they're done, close the doors, escort that person out to make sure they don't try and get into the elevator or down the dark stairs.
This policy, did Milo talk to the different departments about this?
Yeah, we all had some input, and the majority of us thought that it would be best to close the office doors, you know, in the event of an extended power outage.
Cindy, the only thing on here that I would like to see added is, I think that the responsibility has to lie with maintenance or somebody to make sure that there are no citizens or civilians inside the courthouse when the power. There's nothing specifying that a sweep will be done at the courthouse to ensure.
Well, it says elevators will be checked for trapped passengers by maintenance.
But I assume if the power goes out and throughout the courthouse,
a sweep of the building. Yeah, a sweep of the building, other than the elevators, the restrooms, and everything. Yep. Okay, I will add that, or have Milo add that.
Why don't you add that and then run it by us next week?
Okay, I thought he was going to be here, I guess. I'm not sure.
Does that work for everyone?
Yeah. So then, just to pick up on Commissioner Waterman's question, so he coordinated like with the sheriff's office and everything because there's number 4 in particular has a sheriff's department doing
I'm
something.
not sure how we're going to notify the sheriff department of the power outage. If we don't, I guess we'll have to just walk across the parking lot.
Open your window and just
put a flag out.
Open your window and throw a
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we can get on the phone. It's not like we can get on the phone and notify them.
Now
but,
the question will be: is it a red flag or a white flag?
That's good. It's very good to have that. Yeah.
All right, let's go on then.
I will see if he can come up next week and go over this some more. It's nothing that needs immediate attention.
Review 2018 budget requests.
And we've done that.
And we've kind of been working on that. Have we gone through all of them?
No. Well, we have, except for the departmental ones. So next week it will be the weed department, everything that Milo takes care of, and the highway department. The following week it will be the sheriff, the emergency management, and the state's attorney. But we did review all the nonprofits. And
we did do emergency management, didn't we? I thought we kind of went through.
Oh, we did. That's right. Jim did come in. He did his the end of June instead of waiting till July. You're correct. Okay.
Number 9. Do we have any claims?
No claims for payment today.
All right. And number 10, action to set meeting for the week of July 24th. And if you read my email, I suggested that we keep it as we always have on July 25th. On Tuesday.
What's your thoughts, Cindy?
I won't be here, so if there's anything that you're going to need me for, I will not be here. One of my girls can sit in here with the recorder and take the minutes, but if there's any questions you have, I will be in Ohio.
I think we should wait till the 26th for that very reason.
I agree.
To the 26th?
Yep, the next day, the Wednesday.
Do we need a vote on it or not?
Yeah, we do.
If you change it from the 25th, you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
Well, I would make a motion to,
25th was better.
I kind of like the 25th, but I'm not that wed to either.
we won't
band
have
as
Cindy here,
27th
so if
is.
there's any information that we need, we are not going to be able to get it. The staff can sit in here and take notes and have the recorder, but they're not able to access things like Cindy. So
My
I would
thoughts-
make a motion that we move it to the 26th
Okay, you heard a motion.
for that very
by Hatton.
reason.
Second.
Second by Van Dusen. Any discussion? Now discussion.
Did you have some?
Okay.
I thought you were going to say something, Mr. Chairman, on that one.
I was going to say that. I said you know, Cindy can't be with us absolutely every time.
No.
You know, there could be a time when you're going to be sick or you're going to be called out of town. And it's an opportunity for the girls to come in and sit in front of the camera and actually get some, you know, experience and what we do or what happens here. How often do we absolutely have to have something answered that day, you know, during a meeting?
Depends on what's on the agenda.
That's right.
Quite often, we ask her for different information, so.
That's my thoughts on it. Charlie, you were...
Mr. Chairman, my thoughts were parallel to yours, thinking back 6 months when I come here and my head was spinning and it's still going round and round. But it brings in somebody new, it gives them a little acquaintance, it just makes them feel a little bit more at ease, and so I would give my input to leave it on the 25th.
Lee, you were to make a comment.
I guess I agree with you and Commissioner Waterman a bit more on that. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Commissioner Van Dusen?
I seconded the motion to move it to the 26th. I think it's important to have Cindy here.
Okay.
There's a lot of times that questions are asked, but whatever.
Well,
I'll be here
just
whatever
for
day we have
instance,
the meeting.
Okay, so if we have that gentleman come in next week,
It's
then how many other things do we move over now?
Well, next week I'll be here. Next week's the
Okay.
18th. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yep. All right. Any more discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye. We're
We're voting to move it. That's what the motion is.
You're voting to move it to the 26th.
To the 26th.
Yeah, voting to move it. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
That's 3-2. We will keep it on the 25th. 25th? Yeah. All right, going on. Automatic supplements, any of them?
Nope, none today.
Personnel changes. We have one, I think.
We have several that have come in since I probably sent the packets
Right.
out. Let's see. Jeff Argo is a new hire in the maintenance department. He will start at step 1, $17.57 an hour. He is maintenance 2. Mike Gubka is being promoted from deputy sheriff to sergeant sheriff. He will go to step 9 on that pay scale, which is $26.99, and that was effective July 1st. Correctional officer Melissa Holtquist is due her anniversary step increase to step 6, $20.15 an hour. Wesley Jennings is a correctional officer. He's due his anniversary step increase to step 7, $20.91 per hour. Trevor Schimmel is deputy sheriff. He's due an anniversary step increase to step 4, $23.44 an hour. And Larry Stahl is a seasonal temporary hire at the highway. He will be on the custodial pay scale, step 1, $13.76 an hour.
Move to approve those personnel changes.
Second.
We have a motion by Hatton, second by Waterman. Is that? And any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go on then to travel requests, and we have a couple of those.
The first one is the Director of Equalization and one of her appraisal staff to attend a district meeting in Roberts County. The Treasurer is requesting authorization to attend the Ultra Software Workshop in Pierre. The Emergency Management Director is requesting authorization to send his secretary to an HSEEP class, which I have no idea what that is. It's in Brookings. It's a one-day travel. I'm requesting authorization to send my office staff to the Ultra Software Users Meeting in Pierre. And then I'm also requesting authorization to travel to an executive board meeting this week. There's no cost to the county because I am reimbursed from the South Dakota Association of County Officials.
Move to approve those travel requests.
Second.
We've a motion by Hanton, second by Gable. Any discussion? Travel safe?
Yep.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Any old business? Any mature business to bring to the board?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple things. Number one, just to keep in mind that the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative 101 session, that's going to be the afternoon of the 25th. And that's going to be at the Extension Center. I'm still making sure I got everybody down from the community. I know we got the police department, we got Boys and Girls Club. I need to make sure we have some of the folks from the school with the new superintendent and everything lined up, as well as obviously it's a similar cross-section of the community as the Stepping Up, but mostly adding in those that are involved with juveniles, particularly the schools and the Boys and Girls Club. And then we had before, let's see, after our last meeting and before this one, we had the Justice Advisory Committee meet on the 27th. And so the draft minutes are online for people to look at. You can listen to the audio recording. But essentially, we talked through what are the options now. So a couple things that came out of that was we generally like the idea of having a vote in November 2018 as opposed to trying to do a special election between now and then. So that's November 2018 is when the general election will be with the governor's race. And so that would increase the voter turnout. So that was a general kind of consensus. And I would expect if we went to ask for an official recommendation from the advisory committee, that's what it would be at this point. And then we also talked about the options that we want to go back and evaluate, make sure we get the costings, given a possible new timeline where we'd look at some kind of a justice project. So things particularly like keeping the new 120-bed jail in the project, but then after that trying to take away or what parts of the project that was proposed to the voters do we want to leave in and take away. And and that's contingent on going back to the jail consultant, Mr. Garnos, who did our jail projections, and having him verify those, and then possibly looking at maybe certain ways to break those projections down into, say, classifications of inmates. And so that's kind of what the meeting was in a nutshell. I think everybody was here. Everybody here, all the commissioners at least, right? Well, Commissioner Van Duzen's on the committee, and then everybody else was there to watch it. So just to let people know.
Do you need notification from us about that JDI meeting if we're going?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, just well, I guess it's good to know but I'm going to be calling around to see if people are intending to come. So.
Because I do plan on attending.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you can, it's a good thing to do. So.
Commissioner Waterman, you had something.
I handed you a packet with the envelopes over concerning Pelican Plaza. Mickey was here, I forget her last name.
Ladwig.
But she was here a couple of weeks ago and left some photographs, and due to different circumstances beyond my control, I went out there and spent some time in the last couple of days, and the chickens are gone that she mentioned. The water tank is gone, and talking to several of the neighbors, they're all glad that free-ranging chickens are not there anymore. Gives their dogs a little more free run. And I did not talk to her personally. She tried to contact her a couple times. She was not home, but she has added to her fence in the back with a new fence. The camper, if you remember, was parked there, and the step is still over the line. When you buy a lot, or you're not buying a lot, you're buying a house and paying lot rent. So I don't know how is the lot size a super important thing, but he is. Some of the neighbors said he gets a little bit he can be a little vocal and gathers his materials wherever he can find them and makes them do, which is obvious from the photograph. But he's done this on more than one house out there and then sold it already. But he's about 72 or 73 years old, but has never received any building permits for any of them. And I haven't talked to Luke yet, but I plan on going up there and seeing him.
I did have a conversation with Luke, and I believe, that's why some of this maybe is happening, because it has been addressed in this situation that the manager of that Pelican Plaza is also involved, and that's who they should really go through first, because he is managing, like you say, the lots are not there. So if he lets them know, then he goes to Luke. But you can still follow up with Luke to see where it's at.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up with Luke, and I'm also going to have a conversation with Mr. Martinez, the trailer court manager.
Good. Anything else? Any other mature business?
Well, there's a post note to this. The area that seems to be cleaner than when those pictures were taken.
Good. That's right.
Oh, one more post note. Several people thanked primarily Detroit with the city and getting that project to go around and picking up trash in the spring site cleanup in front of their houses rather than taking it out to the mailbox. So they showed their appreciation.
Great. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate that.
To the city.
Before you have anything else for old business? Before we jump into the new business, Milo shows up. You want to come on up, Milo? And we were discussing your proposal for the outage. And a couple of comments were made that we should add a couple of things to it, Troy.
Yeah, Milo, I guess, looking through this procedure for the power outage, I'd like to see in there somewhere about somebody taking on the responsibility to do a sweep of the building to make sure that it's emptied out from all, non-county employees or citizens, or so we don't have people stuck in the bathrooms, if that makes any sense. So.
Yeah. The other part was this is strictly for the courthouse proper.
Correct.
None of the other outbuildings.
Correct.
All right. How do we notify the sheriff's department of the shutdown?
So it's going to have to be done, probably by cell phone.
Sure.
Or walk over there. Because I'm assuming if we lose power, we're not going to have any phones.
My office won't, but I think Carol's office does. So, and I completely forgot about cell phones. So yeah, there's a way to get a hold of them. Do we know? Does this emergency system work if the power is out?
Yes.
That's on battery backup.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just one question I had was, so the sheriff's office knows that he's named in this as having a contact?
Not specifically. We just kind of laid this out, spreading the duties amongst departments, and we would have to
I don't think there'd be a problem.
go to the departments and make sure everyone is willing to do their part.
Okay. Well, it looks good then. But I'd say before we approve it, though, we'd want to make sure that they didn't see anything. They might have some other ideas, too, about what to add to. So.
Yeah. The hard thing about it is, when the power goes, when the power goes out, typically it's very short term. But if it goes beyond 30 seconds, we really don't know. Yeah. If it's going to be 5 minutes or 5 hours. So that would be the reason for, having, and I figured the sheriff's department would have better access or better...
They probably do, yeah.
Better contacts to, find out what's actually going on, is why I put it that way.
Yeah.
So if you would add that one item that Troy mentioned I think, is that all that you would have?
Yeah, it's
Commissioner
just accountability to make sure if it's maintenance or somebody that's in the building that's going to make sure that there isn't some little old lady that's stuck in the building somewhere that nobody knows about. That would be my concern.
And then if you could run it
Everybody
by,
gets out.
run the whole thing by the sheriff's office as well, just to see if they have any other, it looks good to me, but they might have another idea, so.
Is this an amendment to an existing policy?
We don't have a policy.
We don't have a policy.
Okay.
This will be,
This is just going to be a procedure then, more
this will
than
be
anything.
policy 2017-1, right? I don't know.
There are no plans to number it.
Okay. I just thought that
It's just for our benefit.
Like Troy said, just as a procedure.
Right.
So.
All right. Any other comments? So Milo, if you would make that change and have it ready, we'll act on it next week.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Did you have anything?
Just this.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Milo.
Thanks, Milo.
All right. How about new business? Let's go on to number 15. Do we have any new business?
Sure.
Any new business to bring before the board? Nothing new? Do we have anything for the open?
We do have several events that there possibly could be a quorum of us commissioners at tomorrow at noon. The Republican Central Committee will be meeting. We have cooking on Compesca this weekend, Friday and Saturday. We do have planning and zoning on the 17th, but I believe Luke's always mentions the fact that there could be a quorum. But other than that, I don't have any other activities.
Anyone else? Anyone else? And I won't go into any depth of any of them, but I've had, probably in the past week or 10 days, about 3 different issues that have arisen in reference to neighbors getting in each other's hair. And I've worked with Luke in resolving most of those, and the problems are being solved. And I guess what the main thing is you just got to get neighbors together and talk. That's the key thing there, is just to talk it out and find out that maybe their demands aren't as bad as they are. And some of them involve some fireworks, of course, and as you know, that's always one of those deals. Kind of an unusual year this year, with that 4th of July being on Tuesday. It seemed like the celebration in town here was on Saturday, so everybody thought 4th of July started Saturday and went for a whole week or whatever. So it kind of, yeah. I think the people that really profited from that were the people that sold fireworks. They're the ones that, and I'm sure the police department didn't get any calls at all.
Yeah. It's a busy week. Yeah.
Hey, reason for an exec session?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Can I just make one more quick statement in the open?
Sure.
This is my first time that I've gone through the county's budget proposal, and I have to say, after looking at the numbers outside of the meeting here, that I'm really happy with the department heads and their budgets, and I think that it's important that the public know that steps are being taken to try and reduce or maintain those budgets as they have been for the previous years. And so I just want to say thanks to the department heads for their work on that, and I think that they're doing a good job.
One of the things that you will appreciate as you sit here on the board is to follow up on these budgets, and you'll find how responsible these department heads are. Rarely do they ever exceed their budget. And a budget is just a budget. That's what it is.
That's right.
But I know last year we had the sheriff's department come in here and feel really, really bad about exceeding his budget, but it wasn't his fault. It was something that came in, and it was
It was to fix the roof, I believe.
Yep, it was something that he had no control over it.
Well, in a lot of these cases, I'm noticing that budgets have been reduced over last year. So that's good. That's good. Times are tough. Yeah.
Move that we adjourn.
I know one of the other things that people need to be aware of is it's really, as you out and about, you find out I answered the email. There was a lady that was pretty upset about the Memorial Park over the 4th of July and the mosquitoes and all this, and I found, did the research, and I did contact that particular individual, and then last night I had just the opposite. Somebody said that they had the most enjoyable time that they've ever had out at Memorial Park over the 4th of July, and they already booked for next year, and they're glad they did because it's almost filled for next year already. And, so you get those kinds of things, and the one individual can't believe that we aren't making tons of money out there, and so those are the things that you'll find out.
Speaking of that, Milo had sent out an email to us regarding the sign out at Memorial Park. Is there a way we could get that on the agenda so that he can talk about that a little bit more?
Contact Milo.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know where he's at on that. Yeah, he sent that out.
I talked to him just
the week he was out on personal leave.
Yeah.
So I would contact him to see if he's gotten any more information or if he wants to
put it on the agenda or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that was right during the death of his father, and I just said, better just put that on the back burner until he gets back and gets caught up.
I noticed it's starting to lean out there now. I was out there earlier this week, so we need to do
let's see. When maybe we get some insurance? No.
Well, while we're discussing Milo and the email with the mosquito control and the play park, lest people forget, and being this is the open, I wanted to bring this up now, lest people forget, it's a mosquito reduction, not elimination program.
Yeah, you're never going to.
And so depending on the rains and the hatch, it might be...
Well, I'll tell you
Although I do understand the complaint that she had. I mean, it was very frustrating with me. I was even at one of the parks here in the city, and I got bitten a whole bunch. I mean, there was large swarms that came by, and I know that they had sprayed. So sometimes there's just things that you can't control, but we try to do the best job that we can. But it is irritating, those little things.
What made me think of that is when we're talking about budget, but I invited that lady to sit down with me or Cindy or whoever and review the Memorial Park budget to show them that we have been spending a lot of money out there on updates and repairs, and we have a lot more to spend, but you can only, it's hard to spend $30,000 on a playground set, especially when somebody's road needs to be taken care of.
That's right.
You have to measure those priorities, and I tried to bring that out in my discussion with her.
I did talk to Steve. I had a conversation about the mosquito situation, and you have to realize, I mean, there's more to it than what you really think for spraying mosquitoes, but there's a certain window of time that spray works, and it's only on live mosquitoes because then you can have some hatch later, and they're there. So it's very technical on when you get them buggers. So anyway.
I don't know. Like the 4th of July obviously is a big weekend, Memorial Weekend. I don't know if it's possible for them to come through and just do a blast of chemical to kill the mosquitoes if there's going to be a whole bunch of people out there. I think that's what we tried.
It only works during that time period. That's the problem, because then you can have a new hatch after they're done or after that spray is no longer...
Right.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think Milo said it was on the 28th that they sprayed, and the first is, and then we had a long period
Well,
of time.
they did it also on the 3rd or the 4th, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
And then they did it on the 6th too. So.
Yeah.
But when I was in the business, I sprayed Memorial Park several times, and that's a big park. I mean, it's a big area. And what the one gentleman said last night when I was visiting about the complaint about the mosquitoes, he said, well, you got to use a little common sense where you pitch your tent too. Or, if you go right down along the slough, where you're going to have mosquitoes. That's the way it is. All right.
Motion to adjourn. I make that motion.
We have a motion
Second.
by Hatton, second by Van Dusen. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You want to just give me a call on that? What's